Hey, what's up everybody? So I'm at a client's house today here in South Florida, and as I was pulling in, there was this huge, you see him moving there. I don't want to move too quick because he'll bolt on me. We call them Jesus lizards down here, bacillus, and I didn't catch him on film. I was looking for him, but he got away. But here's a smaller one. But these things are all over South Florida. Let me get a little closer, he'll bolt. But they've become a real issue here in South Florida. Just like the iguanas, they're kind of taken over and they're thriving down here. So I'm just here waiting for them to get here to let me into the house, and I'm just kind of going on a little nature walk around their house because they always have some crazy stuff here, iguanas, water snakes. These guys are catching up to the iguanas. I'm starting to see them everywhere. But like I said, it's a really cool lizard, but they're starting to take off. So let's watch them run, see how fast they are. Look at that, he's letting me get super close. He doesn't think I can see him. What a beautiful lizard. So I'll go ahead and back away slowly. Let him do his thing. And let's go inside and check on their tank and see how it's doing. So here we are in the tank, and everything looks good. So everything is looking pretty good so far. I gotta clean the glass, but let's take a look at the corals. So the mushrooms are taking off. Got some red mushrooms down there that look good. The Ganyapora is going nuts. This thing is just growing like a weed. This leather coral, this used to be a huge colony, but then this tank was completely filled with Aiptasia, and with Xenia, and we had to do a treatment to kill all the Xenia. And in the process of doing that, we lost this leather coral, but there was just this little tiny piece that held on, and now it's been about 6 months and it's been able to grow back. Monopora is struggling a bit, but it is growing. Bubble coral is looking really good. Monopora in this tank, this purple monopora is just growing like crazy. Red monopora as well. And I got some Kenya tree that's looking fluffy and good. I got the toadstool leather up there. This toadstool leather is struggling a bit. The pops aren't out. I'll have to figure that out. The mushrooms look good. So let's take a look at the other side. All right, here's the other side. Clam is happy. Some pallies over here. Trumpet corals are doing okay. They're doing all right. They're doing good. You see the tissues starting to go way down there, so that's looking good. They're puffy, not bad. That cabbage coral right there was nothing before. Now it's like really taken off. That's awesome. Got a nice frog spawn there. And you can get another shot of the polyps on this toadstool are starting to come out. So that's good. We got a Cephastria right here growing underneath, which is gonna be a problem because that purple monopora is just going crazy. So we might have to trim that up because he's gonna start swallowing these other corals. Oh, the 24 karat lepto that I put in here months back is starting to encrust, looking amazing. Oh, the acan is looking a little disturbed. I don't know why that is. We have a Duncan coral right here stretching. Probably stretching for light. Micromusa. I put this one in here too. This was one of my corals. Beautiful coral. It's doing great. And another trumpet coral, Canadian trumpet coral right there. Blue mushrooms all over there. Zoas really taken off now. Keep in mind, all this was covered with Xenia, and all these corals were being swallowed up by the Xenia. You couldn't see any of them. And ever since we got rid of the Xenia, these other corals have been able to survive and really thrive and do really well. There's a hammer coral right there. So, I mean, you got a season's greening monopora growing right there. The Ganyapora is not doing well, but that's to be expected. Ganyaporas, man, they'll do good for like a good 4 months, and then they turn to garbage. Not a big fan of Ganyapora. Like the wild pieces. So everything's looking good in here. So let's go ahead and get the glass cleaned and let's do our service. Can't leave out this Acropora that we put in, which started off like this big, this little guy, and now he's taking off. And I'll go get my lens, but he's got a really pretty blue on him that's showing through. But he's doing really well. You can see the polyps are out, so I'm happy about that. You can see this bubble coral's got his sweepers out, doing his best to fight off this purple monopora, which seems to be working, because if you look up here, that's all dead monopora. It's actually curled up away from the coral, but eventually that monopora is gonna shade that bubble coral, and that's gonna be an issue. So we're gonna have to do some fragging. This purple monopora just grows like crazy. It's an absolute beast. But that bubble coral is doing its best to hang on there, so we'll help him out. So let's take a quick look at the filtration. It's running on an Apex, Neptune Apex system. We have dosers over there. So basically, the water comes in, over here's the filter socks, goes into this section, which is really just it's got the protein skimmer, and then you have some media, some GFO reactor and a carbon reactor or whatever, but we don't really pump these, we really don't use these, it's not necessary. This tank runs really low nitrate and phosphate. And then you have your ATO, and then your return section. So really, it looks a lot more complicated than it is. Before we had this service, there's a lot more going on, but we simplified it. We have the 2 dosers right there in the Apex, and then we added a 3rd doser for amino acids. But you do have a refugium section over there, which we're not using. Again, this system is really low on nitrate and phosphate, and we're struggling to keep up. You can tell by the growth in the tank. It's nice to have the Apex to kind of turn everything off. And then up here we have some aqua illumination lights and some, I'm not sure the brand of the Gyre. We got some Gyre power heads right on either side, on the right side, and then we have them over there on the left side, and that's pretty much, and then you return, and that's pretty much it. It's a very simple, basic setup, nothing too crazy. We have 3 of these hydrolytes on here, but we just want to keep it as simple as possible. And like I said, this tank has been up for a while, and it's pretty zoned in, it's pretty keyed into where it needs to be, and we just kind of want to let it do its thing and just maintenance it. So sometimes, keeping it simple works out really, really well, especially with the tank is mature, and as this one has been running as long as this one has. The growth in this tank is insane. We even have, I don't know how they got up here, but on this power head, there's some zoas growing. Let me see if I can zoom in a bit here. It's hard to tell, but there's some zoas, you can see them. There's a whole colony of zoas growing right there. That's nuts. I don't even know how they would even gotten up there. But they're growing all along that power head. That's the type of growth that's in this tank. It's insane. Look at these guys, wow. They're trying to survive underneath that monopora. They look great. There they are on the top view. Bunch of zoas. I just touched them so they're closed up a little bit, but on that Gyre power head, there's a bunch of zoas growing on there. That's insane. So here's your nitrate and phosphate in that tank. You can see there is some nitrate, there is some phosphate. Nothing too major on a big level. I'd say that phosphate's pretty low, and nitrate is probably hovering around 1. I think part of the reason why I'm seeing this hammer coral right here not have the color and the extension and some of the things you would want in a hammer coral are because of the fact that it's just being outcompeted by faster growing corals, whether it be the monopora, you got the goniopora growing like crazy, all the zoas, the mushrooms. There's just a lot of competition, and he just seems to not be able to keep up too much. But on the right side, the polyps on the toadstool are starting to come out, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and I also added some, I got some star polyp on here because I used to have star polyp, but it was lost when we did the xenia treatment. And I added a blasto, a very bright orange blastomuso, which let's give that some time. It's a little stressed out right now, but it should look good. crazy. It doesn't need anything crazy, just probably 10%. So I got that going on. So I'm wrapping up here, and one thing I wanted to add was I took that bubble coral, instead of fragging the monopora, wait to do that for another time, but I moved that bubble coral that was right underneath there, put it down below on a rock. I put him over here, so he should do much better there. So all in all, I'm really happy with the tank, the progression of this tank, and even though it's mature and it has a decent amount of coral, I still think we have some room for some really nice showpiece corals to really set this tank apart. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a good one.